I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. So we're picking this up in 2 Kings chapter 4. In our last video was to read the first part of this chapter, and this is telling us some of the acts of Elisha. Right now, we've read how he multiplied the oil for the woman to give so that she could sell it and pay off her debts. We also read about the Shunammite woman that showed kindness to him, and so he blessed her to have a son in her old age, which she does have a son. Now, we pick this up in verse 18. We will be finishing the chapter out in this video, so verse 18. And when the child was grown, it fell on a day that he went out to his father to the reapers. And he said unto his father, My head, my head. And he said to the lad, Carry him to his mother. And when he had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat on her knees till noon, and then died. And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and shut the door upon him, and went out. I'm going to pause there. It doesn't really say what is wrong. And now the son's going out to the reapers, which means he's going to be at least 8 years old. Probably. He's probably like a teenager. I think he's having a brain aneurysm. That's what it sounds. I'm no doctor. I'm no medical expert, so very good chance that I'm wrong. But that's what it sounds like to me. It's a brain aneurysm. Now, I did say that these things were taking place during the last 5 years, during this 5-year period. But I have to say, I think that the birth of the child probably happened much earlier, and so I probably should have put this much earlier in my timeline, but just another error on my part. The reason it's being told here is because of this episode here where the child dies. But in order to understand this event, we have to have the background of the child's birth. Let us continue, verse 22. And she called unto her husband and said, Send me, I pray thee, one of the young men, and one of the asses, that I may run to the man of God, and come again. And he said, Wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Sabbath. And she said, It shall be well. Then she saddled an ass, and said to her servant, Drive, and go forward. Slack not thy riding for me, except I bid thee. So she went, and came unto the man of God to Mount Carmel. And it came to pass, when the man of God saw her afar off, that he said to Gehazi, his servant, Behold, yonder is that Shunammite. Run now, I pray thee, to meet her, and say unto her, Is it well with thee? Is it well with thy husband? Is it well with the child? And she answered, It is well. And when she came to the man of God to the hill, okay, one second, before we continue that. So she goes off to find Elisha. And I think she tells her husband, give me the ass and a servant to help me go. And he's like, wait a minute, there's no reason to go. It's not a time for any of the normal sacrifices, so why bother him now? It's kind of like, it would be like in the modern day saying, don't call the bishop, it's not something, we're not going to church today, it's not Sunday. It's not the youth activities day. It's not a regularly scheduled period. And she says, no, we're going, it's going to be fine. And I also like, she tells him, a servant to drive, slack not thy riding for me. Don't worry about me. Don't try to be gentle for my sake. Just get me there as fast as possible. Right here, verse 27. And when she came to the man of God to the hill, she caught him by the feet. But Gehazi came near to thrust her away. And the man of God said, Let her alone. For her soul is vexed within her, and the Lord hath hid it from me, and hath not told me. Then she said, Did I desire a son of my Lord? Did I not say, Do not deceive me? Then he said to Gehazi, Gird up thy loins, and take my staff in thy hand, and go thy way. If thou meet any man, salute him not. And if any salute thee, answer him not again, and lay my staff upon the face of the child. And the mother of the child said, As the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And he arose and followed her. And Gehazi passed on before them, and laid the staff upon the face of the child. But there was neither voice nor hearing. Wherefore he went again to meet him, and told him, saying, The child is not awakened. So I like this. A couple of things real quick before we continue. Elisha recognized her from a distance. I mean, not a huge distance, but from a distance. And he sent his greetings. But when she came up close, she falls down, and he instantly knows that something's wrong. He recognizes it in her, but he also knows, I like that God hath hid it from me. The Lord hath hid it from me. In other words, God didn't reveal this to him. He didn't know beforehand that the child had died. But he gives him these instructions and she says she will not leave Elisha. So Elisha is walking back with her. Gehazi goes in advance, and he does what he says. He lays the staff on him, but it doesn't seem to work. Anyways, verse 32. And when Elisha was come into the house, behold, the child was dead, and laid upon his bed. He went in therefore, and shut the door upon them twain, and prayed unto the Lord. And he went up, and lay upon the child, and put his mouth upon his mouth, and his eyes upon his eyes, and his hands upon his hands, and he stretched himself upon the child. And the flesh of the child waxed warm. Then he returned, and walked in the house to and fro, and went up, and stretched himself upon him. And the child sneezed 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. And he called Gehazi, and said, Call this Shunammite. So he called her, and when she was come in unto him, he said, Take up thy son. Then she went in, and fell at his feet, and bowed herself to the ground, and took up her son, and went out. Exactly like Elijah. Remember, Elijah goes to the widow of Zarephath. He sojourns with her for a while. Her son dies, and he stretches himself on her son, bringing him back to life. Same thing here. He stretches himself on the boy, brings him back to life. I actually still think this sounds very much like CPR to me. But I also liked when he said, when she first came to Elisha, I liked her saying, did I not, then she said, did I desire a son of thee? So I didn't ask to have a son. And when you said I was going to, I said, don't get my hopes up. Don't say this. And now you gave me a son and have taken him away from me. And so now he has returned her to us. Again, the story of the Shunammite woman is just a beautiful story. But let us finish out the chapter. Verse 38. And Elisha came again to Gilgal, and there was a dearth in the land, and the sons of the prophets were sitting before him. And he said unto his servant, Set on the great pot, and seize pottage for the sons of the prophets. And one went out into the field to gather herbs, and found a wild vine, and gathered thereof wild gourds, his lapful, and came and shred them into the pot of pottage, for they knew them not. So they poured out for the man to eat. And it came to pass, as they were eating of the pottage, that they cried out and said, O thou man of God, there is death in the pot. And they could not eat thereof. But he said, Then bring meal. And he cast it into the pot. And he said, Pour out for the people, that they may eat. And there was no harm in the pot. So this guy, they're gathering herbs, they're gathering plants to put into this pottage to make this kind of a stew of grains or a stew of vegetables, whatever. And they get these gourds that they don't know what they are. But they say, hey, it's gourds. We go toss them in, and it poisons the pot. We'll leave it there. It's pretty self-explanatory. Verse 42. And there came a man from Baal-Shalisha, and brought the man of God bread of the first fruits, 20 loaves of barley, and full ears of corn, and the husk thereof. And he said, Give unto the people that they may eat. And his servitor said, What? Should I set this before 100 men? He said again, Give the people that they may eat, for thus saith the Lord, They shall eat, and shall leave thereof. So he set it before them, and they did eat, and left thereof, according to the word of the Lord. So, just like Christ feeding the 5,000, or the 3,000, Elisha is able to multiply the food to feed, it's 20 loaves of bread. At this time, a loaf of bread might have fed 2 people. So 20 loaves of bread might have fed 40. If you stretch it, you might have been able to get up to 50, but he makes it serve 100. Not quite as good as Christ serving 5,000, but it's the same kind of miracle. It's very interesting. Almost every miracle in this chapter done by Elisha is mimicking something that other prophets have done. It shows that God is consistent. Anyways, we'll leave that here, and I'll see you in the next one.